Hi, Thomas the Hermit, and this is my YouTube channel. I am a man of prayer, I am a lay hermit, and I also talk about other things that are of concern to me within the Catholic Church and in society. And today I'm going to talk about the dilemma of self-love. Now, self-love has become, for the last, since the 70s, I guess that's almost 40 years, one of the main thrusts of our society. And of course, the idea is that if people love themselves, they'll be healthy and then they won't commit crimes and things like that. Well, that theory, I think, is hogwash, and I'm going to get into that at a later time. But for now, I'm going to talk about the problem or the dilemma of self-love. Now, we hear it everywhere. We hear it from teachers. We hear it from mental health people, psychologists, sociologists, counselors. We hear it from everyone. You have to love yourself. You need to love yourself, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's true. It's true because modern psychology uncovered the fact that people who were mentally ill did not love themselves and that they needed to. And I believe that. But that's not the dilemma of self-love. The dilemma of self-love is that, they used to tell you in the self-help books in the 70s, go look in the mirror and tell yourself how wonderful you are. Tell yourself that you're the best and the most awesomest creature in the face of the whole entire galaxy. And this was the advice that they were giving from the pop psychologists at the time. Now, I became acquainted with all of that in the 70s. I am 57 years old, and I grew up as a teenager in the 70s and in the 80s. And I discovered and I found that you couldn't look in a mirror and love yourself, And a lot of you have found the same thing. That's the dilemma. How does a person engender healthy self-love? Well, I didn't get my answer until Jesus began to love me. And when Jesus began to love me, I was able to start loving myself. In fact, the mirror was different. Now I was looking in the mirror and I was going, Lord, what do you see in me that you would love me? What do you see? And he would just kept pouring his love on me, Now, I'm not going to tell you that God can be the only source of love that helps us to love ourselves. Also, you could be part of a great Christian community where the people love each other. That's the commandment that we have from the Lord. When he left, or before he left, he said, love one another as I have loved you. Now, how important is that? See? So, there will be people like me who might establish a deep prayer life and they might experience that love from God. But there will be others who need the love from the community itself so that they begin to love themselves. Healthy self-love is created when someone else loves you. Now, for the most part, it's supposed to come from your parents and from your family. But when they fail, then the Christian community or God directly needs to be the source of you loving yourself, because you need an outside source to convince you that you are a diamond, that you are important, that you are a special person too. Now, what happens with people who look in a mirror or pamper themselves or dote on themselves? Well, here's what happens. They don't learn self-love because they don't actually believe that they are lovable. What they become is self-centered. And even worse than that, they become narcissists. They become so self-centered that they develop an illness called narcissism. And has our society created narcissistic people? Narcissism is rampant within our culture now. And this has occurred because of all the different things that have occurred in our society, where we were trying to take this particular psychological truth and disseminate it to people who didn't know what they were doing and didn't know. Oh, by the way, I need to mention that sometimes you can also engender self-love through a good counselor. One of the things that Freud discovered is that the counselor can sometimes become the pseudo-parent in therapy. And that's also another good way to engender self-love. All right, I need to throw that in there. I'm really sorry. I don't want to come off from the left or right field, but I think that's important that I say that for those of you that are in counseling, who have an excellent counselor who is helping you to grow. And I do not want to diminish the value of that, okay? But in all things that we have here, you know, learning to love ourselves, and as I already pointed out, for the contemplative, it's very, very important, because the contemplative journey is very arduous, and it goes through many, many psychological states of the extreme. And if you do not have a healthy self-love, it can be very, very difficult, you know. But narcissism is a terrible thing, and narcissistic Christians could be even worse. So this is Thomas the Hermit trying to point out the truth or the dilemma of self-love. You know, yes, learn to love yourself, but don't become a narcissist. Let people love you. Talk to a good counselor, I mean a good one, or talk to God, because He is so full of love, because He loved me and He helped me to love myself. So, say a prayer for me. I am praying for you. As always, I'll talk to you later.